18's exclusive input we are tracking. Now, Pakistan to announce rupees 6 trillion deficit budget today, almost bankrupted nation. Now, the proposed sum of rupees 1.8 trillion for defense budget was released to please IMF. Now, rupees 700 billions of new and additional taxes on the cards are likely. The total outlay of the budget is expected to be rupees 14.5 trillion, and Pakistanis missed all the economic targets. That has been the report. Now, the economic survey also reveals that the default danger, Pakistan's central bank reserves, has been declined for the 6th straight week ahead. Now, joining us on the broadcast is Anand Narasimhan. Anand, what more details do we have on this, and how is the government trying to manage the political crisis in the country?
Well, the draft of the federal budget that's been prepared with over 6 trillion Pakistani rupees, the deficit, that's the deficit of 6 trillion Pakistani rupees. How are they going to make up this deficit is a big question. This will be presented in cabinet for approval. They have tried to show that out of 6 trillion, 1.8 trillion is the defense budget. So at least a third of the budget is towards the army and defense budget. Now, is the IMF going to be happy about this? We have to wait and see. But what is happening is a 700 billion rupee tax burden, additional tax burden on a Pakistan nation, which is increasingly facing penury. And there is a huge gap between the rich and the poor. It is 5% of rich who control about 80% of the wealth of the country, and or 5 to 7%. And the remaining, there is no semblance of a middle class. They are all then poor. There are just rich and poor in Pakistan. That's what economic observers usually say and have noted over the last many years. The other aspect is the Hawala and the Hundi issue, where the rich are actually carting their money out of Pakistan and parking it elsewhere via Hawala transactions and money laundering, which the IMF itself has raised serious concerns, and so has the FATF. Government employees are likely to receive a boost of 30% in their ad hoc relief allowances, as well as a 20% hike in pensions. This is to ensure that the government employees and who are part of the administration don't revolt against the current government, and then they continue to aid them. The total outlay of this budget is expected to be, like you said, about 14.5 trillion rupees. But they're also trying to see that the medical and conveyance allowance of government employees should be increased 100%, and the fiscal deficit target being set at 7.7% of the GDP. Now, they are trying to aim at a revenue collection of 9.2 trillion, and that's how the 6 trillion deficit budget is coming in. How they will make up for this deficit, we'll have to see. But largely, those who are employed in Pakistan, they all are in government services and government administration. So this is a way to try and assuage the serious amount of dissonance that is happening, and somewhere try and stem the growing civilian unrest and mood on ground. Now, the provincial development budget has been allocated at 1.55 trillion. So the 4 provinces, their development budget is less than the military budget allocation. 1.55 trillion for the 4 provinces, but 1.8 trillion for the army, for defense itself. So this is to try and keep the army happy, despite the clear diktat from the IMF saying that you need to reduce the military budget and the expenditure, and you need to focus on development. That doesn't seem to be happening. It just goes back to the fact that it's the military establishment that will control proceedings, because the current opposition, the coalition of parties that is in government today, they need the support of the military establishment. They need the military on their side if they have any hope of continuing and coming back to power when elections are announced in a few months from now. And that is if Imran Khan is moved out of the equation and the PTI does not remain in equation. Because currently the mood in Pakistan is it's a landslide victory and an overwhelming mandate to the PTI. That's what it looks like.
All right. Thank you so much, Anand, for all the inputs. We'll continue to track the story as the day progresses.